to raise interest rates as much this year. Well, if my next guest is right, how about maybe not at all this year? Market watcher Ted Oakley joining us right now. Ted, what do you see happening?
Well, Neil, I don't expect the Fed to do any more. And I say that because I think they'll get in a situation to where over the course of the next 1, 2, and 3 months, you're going to see continued weakness. I think they've been blind to most of the things the last 2 to 3 months. But that's what we're looking for right now. I can't imagine they would unless they have some incredible threshold for pain. I don't think they'll raise them again. You know, it's an interesting read. Now, my premise on the Fed's willy-nilly, nonstop pace to keep raising rates was to build up the arrows in the quiver, so to speak, for just this type of situation where they might have to reverse that. And it really wasn't data dependent. It was just, there were very few signs, if any, of inflation. I don't know how you feel about that. And they overdid it. And I think in their heart of hearts, not all of them, but some of them feel that, we overdid it and we got to cool it. Well, you're right about that. Exactly. They were looking at the wage growth, which is late in the cycle. Right. The unfortunate part about that, it's late in the cycle. That's not something to look at. Yeah, they've been looking at commodities, housing, really indexes of manufacturing, really the world economy. They would have noticed that, hey, this thing is really coming apart on us here. We really need to back off a little bit, and they didn't do that. I think Powell was so headstrong in wanting to show that he could do this that, unfortunately, he came in at a tough time, too, but that's where we are.
How would you feel as someone who follows this scene very, very closely if the president makes good on his promise to meet with Jerome Powell? Some might read into that as a pressure cooker situation for the Federal Reserve Chairman. Others just a polite meet and greet. I don't know if you're in that latter camp, but how would you feel about that? Because that's a situation for which Powell can't win, at least in my eyes. But what do you think?
No, he can't win. If you remember, or if you read in the Volcker book about meeting with Reagan, he didn't say anything.
Right.
Baker just said, "Hey, we need to get rates down," and he didn't say anything. He just left. And so I'm guessing that's about all Jerome Powell could do as well.
Do you think Jerome Powell worries about being reappointed? Though, forget, I think it's a stretch to say the president can fire the guy, but maybe you know things I don't. But yeah, at the very least, he could refuse to reappoint him. And would that work in Powell's thinking?
Well, I think if he fired him, the entire FOMC would be up in arms on this. I think he would have that's going to be tough to do. But Jerome Powell seems like a good man. He seems like he's got his head on straight. I mean, unfortunately, he came in at a rough time. And you have to look at that and say he followed two people that just juiced this thing to the max, and he has to come in and clean up.
But you're saying that when it comes to cleaning up, this year, the rate hikes stop. They're not going to reverse, but they stop.
I think they actually stop, but I think by the second half, I think they reverse.
Wow.
I mean, you get deep enough into an economy like this, and I know they sound tough and everything, but when things go bad, people turn quickly, and the Fed turns very quickly. If you look at their history, they'll turn in 3 or 4 months or 5 months if things turn poor on them.
That's very interesting. Ted, Happy New Year. Thank you very, very much.
Thanks, Neil.